I guess it's like once the moment that you actually have to act is the moment that you become the bravest. And then that's when reality hit a little bit. And Tony looked at me and he goes, "We're in the hospital." After all I've just been through, I'm so weak. It was very intense. It was very, very gnarly. Just the whole process of it. Boom, not being in a different culture, not understanding the language, not understanding what was going on half the time. Like, I felt like a test subject almost, like getting poked and prodded. Only in the deepest moments of fear is when you can progress to your highest level. So it's like we need to have those moments in order to catapult to the next level of what you're doing, and whether that's, through surfing or energetically holding the space of whatever your goal is here.
Okay, trigger warning. If you do not like hearing about being run over in the surf, then maybe you don't want to listen to this one. But it is a really interesting story of a woman named Layna, who actually is a former Surf with Amigas instructor who's been living in Nicaragua for 10 years. And she was on a surf trip in the Maldives, surfing a very crowded break when she was run over and had her leg completely opened up by someone's fin. And she tells a story of what it was like to experience that, the nitty-gritty of all the details of getting surgery in the Maldives. But I think more interestingly, the way that she was able to use that accident to realize that she was not living in a way that was true to herself, and it helped shift her life path. And now she is on a mission to teach people about etiquette, about how to be responsible in the surf, and to inspire other female surfers to feel safe out there. So, for those people that don't know, tell us where you are.
Okay, I'm in southern Nicaragua, in a town called Hacienda Iguana. I'm in front of Playa Colorados and then Ponga Drops. So two very fun, diverse waves.
Awesome. Are you living in Hacienda Iguana?
I'm living in here. So I've collaborated with a company called Soulwater Surf. So it's like a wellness dojo where they try to bring consciousness through surfing. So it's like a 16-person sauna, big yoga shala, ice bath, and it's right on the break. Really good areas for like workshops, trainings, some workout devices. My friend Derek Thomas is who I collaborate with. He's like a breathwork practitioner, the health guru, barrel master.
Sweet. And are
Yeah, it's
you
fun.
teaching yoga there?
So yeah, I'm teaching yoga, and then I also help to organize groups, whether that's like surf training or people looking for a deeper purpose, holistic coaches, anyone who wants to come enjoy Nicaragua. But what I really try to highlight in these groups is like ecotourism, because there's a lot of really, really rad locals here that kind of are just like shy. So I try to empower them through these groups, like having them be the coaches out there for people coming to explore, learn more, whether their level's like super advanced and they want to get barreled or whether they're just beginners. It's been
Okay.
pretty
And so
fun.
so it's like it's people coming for like a week long or like multi-day experience. It's not like wellness services for people that already live in the area and want to pop in for like the afternoon.
So that's a good question. It's actually both, because now, ever since COVID, Hacienda Guana is more of like a residential community. So it's been really cool. There's a lot of kids growing up here. So yeah, there's parents, everybody needs it. So yeah, mostly it's groups coming in, but we also, in like the slower seasons, invite the community to come and do practices with us. And yeah, we've also started a lot of like kids surf training to kind of make them feel comfortable in the big waves. It's been really fun.
Awesome. That's so cool. I know I actually had bought a lot in Hacienda Guana when I was pregnant with with Luna, I think, and we had envisioned kind of being a part of that and then ended up making a different decision. But I can
Yeah.
imagine like a branching life choice that we would be there a part of that. So that's cool to imagine.
Yeah, it really changed a lot. Like, cause I've been coming here like 10 years, and yeah, I was like, oh, it's just like a tourist vacation town. And then when I came and stayed for a little bit of time after COVID, I was like, wow, there's like real people growing up, having like normal lives here. It's kind what do they call it? Like a utopian oasis where it's this little bubble. It's a bubble. But everybody has everything they need and it's really safe for everyone to grow up. And there's neighboring local towns, so you still get like the feel of the raw sense of Nicaragua, definitely. So I try to integrate it all because it's the best of both worlds a little bit.
Right, because that is a complaint for sure about that zone, the bubble aspect.
It
Um,
gets tight sometimes, but
yeah,
we do our best.
right on. Well, I guess, like, let's start with you and, like, where you grew up and how you got into surfing.
Okay, so I have no clue how I got into surfing because I grew up on the Gulf Coast of Florida, where there is no waves at all except for hurricanes. But luckily, it was near Clearwater Beach where I grew up, St. Petersburg, and it's a beach town. So I've always grown up around the ocean. I've always been and fascinated by the ocean, whether it's surfing, swimming. I really love free diving as well and scuba diving. So the ocean's always been my life. It's always been my solace. And then I remember when I was, like, I think I must have been like 12, or I had a boogie board on one hurricane, and my dad took me out, and he's not really a surfer. No one in my family is a surfer, actually. But it just, the feeling of me catching this wave on a boogie board was the best feeling ever. I just wanted to keep going more and more. And then, things like weren't how they are today, where there's surf instructors everywhere, schools teaching you how to surf. So I just remember me being with all my little Grom girlfriends trying to figure out how the ocean works and having the crappiest boards ever. Um, but then eventually we graduated to a real surfboard. And then after I graduated high school, I moved to Jacksonville. And that's when I really started surfing a little bit more, because the main reason of why I wanted to go to college there was because you could surf. So
Nice.
I always had it in my brain, but I never really grew up in a place where I had consistent waves. Even when I was living in Florida, going through college there, um, the waves aren't consistent in Florida, but we do get some good ones. It's good when it's good and it's bad when it's bad. So I definitely have the Florida mentality on surfing, where it's like I'm grateful for everything. Um, and then
Awesome.
I eventually went to Nicaragua right when I graduated college, moved all my stuff here, and just felt at home. I don't know. There's something about this place that just enamors me. Can't get enough. And here I am 10 years later, making my life here.
Nice. Yeah, I can't remember. Obviously, we met and you were working with Surf of the Migas. And were you living in Nicaragua already at that time? Like, I can't remember how our paths crossed to begin with.
Yeah. I went back and forth a lot where I was struggling, like, do I need a real job in society, or can I just be this like surfer vagabond and make a life? So I think when you met me, I was a little bit more of that like surf gypsy. Just, I think I was in Gigante living, where I met Carly, who introduced me to you guys. And yeah, I think I was doing some sea turtle research, just volunteering, taking the Spanish school, just trying to like soak in the culture. Like, okay, how can I have a real life here? Does this make sense? Um, and then I contacted you guys, or vice versa. You guys needed help in Nicaragua, and I was like, yeah, I'm here. I'm doing nothing, and met you guys, and then we just linked up in the north. That was my first experience in the North Nicaragua, and it was so fun, just being able to surf around like-minded chicas like myself and meet people, travel a little bit more. So that was a really good experience, the season I spent with the Mias. I even
Awesome.
went to Costa Rica after. Yeah, I went to Playa Grande after. It's been a few seasons there too. And then COVID killed us for a little bit.
Right. So, and then I know that you have been doing some like kind of overseas, like Indo, I think, or the Maldives travel. And like one of the reasons why I wanted to reach out to you was I saw you posting on Instagram these like horrific story of a gnarly surf accident, and I wanted to get your take on it because it sounds like there's like a lot to say there. So can you share that story with us?
Yes. I don't even know where to start. It's a very long story and it's still being written. But so yeah, I was with my partner on the time, who was a professional longboarder, and we had started a kind of longboarding international retreat business. We started it in Nicaragua, southern Costa Rica, and then Puerto Rico as well. So there was a few years we were just traveling around running this business together. It was really, really fun, just being able to like he was a professional surfer and I was more of the grounded wellness yogi. Let's come back. What is the purpose of surfing? Why do we want to be the best that we can be? Just kind of seeing surfing in a more conscious way. So we made a really good team. Um, but he also was competing on the WSL, so it was kind of like a lot of moving parts going on, and I had realized that I really wasn't living for myself. I wasn't surfing for myself. Yeah, it was a really big lesson I learned from kind of living this luxurious surf travel life like I've always wanted. And it was beautiful, but yeah, there was moments where I was just like, who am I? What am I doing? Why am I in this country and not even like experiencing it as I should be?
Well, I'm curious to like say more about that. Like it sounds like that was like your dream to like travel and surf, and then it wasn't all it was cracked up to be. So like what was the part that wasn't aligned?
I think, I mean, without saying too much detail, I wasn't with the right person. We didn't have the right aligned goals. I can share a little bit more after I tell you the accident, but like now my mentality in surfing is not catch every wave, be the best surfer, travel to all the destinations. Now my mentality is just enjoy, be present out in the ocean, receive what the ocean gives you. Don't take too much, don't be greedy. Whereas I think a lot of the people like in the competitive version of it, and then a lot of people that would come on our retreats were just the mindset was like very intense, very selfish, very ego, very greedy.
So it sounds like when you were doing it, you were still in it. Like you weren't necessarily aware of this, and it's like through this whole process that you've built that awareness. Is that am I understanding that correctly?
Absolutely. The dark times teach you what really matters, essentially.
You were traveling, you were doing these trips, you were hosting people, you were trying to find the balance between like hardcore surf and wellness and like why are we doing this?
Yeah, because we all want to get better. We all want to feel comfortable in the water. We all want to feel safe. So, with that comfortability comes skill, comes knowledge, comes that training. So, there is a balance between it all. But I think for like my sense of feeling empty with it was more of just I was forgetting myself in it. I was just supporting someone else. I was supporting other people around where you can't really give when you are empty in a way. So like yeah, there was times on these retreats we would do where like no one would show up to yoga and no one would they would just surf, 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 kill themselves, surf, 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 have a beer after, and then that's it. That's it. And that's fine. That's how some people are. That's okay. Everybody has their own journey. But yeah, I think I needed to direct my intentions in a different way of what like the message and what I really like to share because I mean I'm a yogi, I'm a teacher, I like to connect with people, so I really like to share a deep message. Sometimes I can be a little too deep for people, but I really love to share kind of what the ocean means to me and how I can find my deepest healing through that. So to wrap that all up, my partner had a contest in Abu Dhabi and I had gone to every single contest, just draining myself, traveling around the world, thinking I want to travel, but I'm burnt out, I'm tired. I just want to be like at a home. I like didn't have a sense of home. So I stayed back at this time and we weren't really doing so well either. So there was like a big disconnect between us and then he was begging me, please, please, please meet me in the Maldives. We'll make it better. We'll make it better. And oh, my stomach knew it wasn't a great idea. Everything in my body knew that it wasn't the right thing to do. But my little surfer soul, adventure self, like, I couldn't say no to go to the Maldives. Are you serious? Like the waves were perfect. I'd never been there before. There's, advanced reef breaks. I want to get barreled. I want to try my skills. I want to meet new people because that was one of my favorite parts about traveling with my partner and doing these groups is that we got to meet so many people from all around the world in the surf community. Even though everything felt wrong, still ended up going. Um, and then once I got there, it was beautiful. We connected and we were able to do what I love doing. We're both extroverts, talking to everybody, meeting people all around the island. The island welcomed us so, so beautifully. and I was able to just breathe again. But from the past of kind of this roller coaster of emotions I was experiencing, once I knew once things are good, something might happen where it doesn't become good anymore. So I think it must have been like the fourth day I was there. It was definitely pushing me to another level, which I love. And I had been longboarding primarily for a while. And this time I brought my shortboard. I'm like, okay, I'm going to, do this more performance style. So the morning, it was a little bit smaller, and we decided to go to Sultan's, which was a beautiful, beautiful break. I got there early before there was a lot of people. We caught so many fun waves. And then, yeah, it just got really crowded all of a sudden. And I remember there was like a wave on the peak I wanted to go, and then this guy kind of paddled aggressive, like into me, made me hit my partner, and then we dinged our boards, and it was just kind of this like energy of like, okay, what's going on here? Maybe it's time to go to the boat and just call it a day. So we I was like, okay, I'm gonna catch one more wave, and then I don't know why I like felt the need to switch boards with my partner. I was like, I want to get the longboard just so I can go on the shoulder and get away from these people and just get out of here. And even when I switched boards, I like felt something in my stomach just churn, like sitting on the board, like this isn't where I'm supposed to be. Kind of that same exact feeling that I kept feeling throughout the years, to just like, I'm not in alignment right now. So I was really kind of weird and shaky, and then I was like, oh, okay, there's a big wide swinging wave coming. Maybe I'll get this one and call it a day, get out, go to the boat, go to safety. And then before that, I remember my partner never is like, be careful with this board, but he was going to a competition after, and was like, hey, this is a really special board, be careful. So that like planted a seed in my head of like, put the board first before me. So I ended up taking this wave, and then I think I like kicked off on the inside a little bit, just get out of the way. I thought I was in a safe zone, but then actually behind that wave was an even bigger wave. And so I was on the inside. There was people all around me, of all different levels. And then I remember looking at the peak and being like, wow, why are there 3 people on that wave coming at me? One person I think ended up kicking off, and then I saw the person that had burned someone. So that's the only person I saw. So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go to the whitewater. Usually in a situation like that, I would have maybe just thrown the board, because I'm like, there's too much chaos around me. I need to put myself in a safe situation, because I've had surf accidents before where people hit your head, you're in the hospital getting stitches. It's not fun. It's never fun. So I had the board in my head. I was thinking of the sharp reef, if I would have thrown the board, or the people around me that I got hit with my board. So I was like, okay, let me just get control. So I went to the whitewater, but then at that time I saw someone shooting at me directly from the whitewater. And I'm like, oh, okay, well, I can't be here. So then I pivoted the other way. And then at that moment, the surfer from Portugal that I just met, I saw him making a big turn up top, at the peak. And I was like, oh, cool, he's gonna cut back. I'm gonna go this way and he won't hit me. But for some reason, I don't know if he was out of control, or he definitely saw me, but he decided to turn directly into me. And he was actually coming for like kind of where my kidneys are in my back and my hip, because I was laying on the board. Um, and this is all a matter of 2 seconds, mind you, this calculation that I'm having to figure out. So at that time, I'm like, okay, I don't even have enough time to dive under. And I'm thinking about my head, because that was my last surf injury. I'm like, I really don't want his fins to hit my head, or I don't want him to hit my side and punch from my organs. So there's actually a photo sequence of the story, and that's how I know actually what happened, because I didn't really know what happened at all in the moment. Like, when you're full adrenaline, you're not really thinking, you're just acting. And that's how a lot of like us surfers are when you're in a crowded lineup. You don't really have time to think. It's just like this natural calculation that you make. So yeah, at that time he was coming right at me, and I ended up twisting my body to block my body with my leg, which I had no clue what I was doing, but that actually saved my life by me doing that unconsciously. So I felt just this really deep impact on the inside of my left leg, on my It was, like, right on my calf. Obviously, pain doesn't really come right away on an accident like that, so I felt it, and I knew it was deep, I knew it was bad, and I went under for a second, and I lifted up, and I was like, "Okay, I'm in the middle of the Indian Ocean. What's gonna happen if I need to go to the hospital right now?" And I was like, "Okay, I'm gonna just look at my leg because I couldn't feel it, but I felt, like, warm, hot, blood, obviously, and when I picked it up, there was just I saw flesh, I saw bone, it was the biggest cut I've ever seen on my body, and I couldn't feel it, I couldn't feel anything, I couldn't feel my leg at all. And then I looked at the guy who hit me, recognizing who it was, and he so casually just said, "Oh, my bad, are you okay?" And I just looked him in the eye. I didn't know Holly, I didn't know I could scream like this before, but it was like this scream that just came. It wasn't me, it just came out from, like, this deepest part of fear on me, and it stopped the entire lineup. It shook, and, that scream still vibrates, like, within my body. So yeah, I just looked him in the eye, screamed, and then I saw just more sets coming at me, and I was just like, my only thought, luckily, is like fight or flight, survival. Get to the boat, Layna. Get to the boat, and then we can assess what's going to happen. So we're getting rattled by these waves. Luckily, nobody's going on the waves because they saw the dramatic scene that was going on there. So, so yeah, once the waves kind of surpassed, I still had the longboard, so I was paddling very, very fast. I was paddling faster than I ever paddled in my life, and my brain's, like, wobbling in and out of consciousness, my heart's beating, adrenaline's, like, running through me, and then this is when I saw something that, like, I've never seen before in my life, because I was about to lose consciousness, I believe, just from adrenaline, shock, a lot of blood being lost. Um, so when I looked up into the sky, I'll get a little deep and spiritual now. I looked up into the sky and was like, do I just pass out? What do I do? Is like, what am I supposed to do right now? Do I fight? Do I surrender? What do I do? Like, I started to lose vision a little bit. Like, I don't know if you guys have ever passed out where it's like in and out, everything's white, then it's black, and like you can't hear. So I started to, I think, pass out, but then when I looked up, um, it was like this pink and purple swirling cloud around me. And it was like it was sunsetting, but it wasn't. It was midday. And I was like, what? What is that? And it was like I wasn't in my body anymore. I, like, connected to this energy, whatever that was, and I felt it, like, engulf me, and I didn't feel fear at all. I didn't feel uncertainty. I didn't feel anything. I just felt safe. And there's no words that really describe what it was, but it was just this knowing of you belong here, you're safe. All you have to do is trust people to help you. So let go completely. You are a fighter, but you're also surrendering to this moment. Get to the boat, and all you need to do is trust that everybody's going to be there to help you. And it was one of the most beautiful, like, spiritual messages.
Was there any conscious thought, like, what did the self-talk go to? Like, okay, I've gotten run over, my leg's really messed up. I'm in a boat in the middle of nowhere.
That was my first thought. How is this journey gonna be to get me to the hospital? I'm so far away from everywhere. How am I gonna have enough strength to stay conscious during this trip? Am I gonna have enough strength to not bleed out? So I didn't know where it hit me. I just saw my leg wide open. I didn't know if it was an artery, if it was a muscle, if the bone was broken. I had no clue what it was. I just knew it was bad. So my first thought was like, don't lose all this blood because you're gonna pass out. Um, so so yeah, I was just thinking more of like, get to the boat and take it step by step because I have no clue what to do.
And your partner, had he realized that you were in this situation?
Yeah, so he was actually screaming at the guy that hit me, and in my head, I was just like, "No, just come help me, please." But I was actually paddling so fast that nobody could catch up with me. It was crazy. Like, I heard this, like, I couldn't hear a lot. I couldn't really comprehend a lot ever since that cloud spoke to me. Um, so I heard him kind of screaming. I heard his voice, and then I also heard our friend who we met prior. His name was Joaquin, beautiful man from Uruguay who helped me a lot. I heard him just screaming, "Paddle, Layna, paddle, paddle, paddle." So, and I could feel how far away they were from me. So that kind of like that voice brought me back into the present moment when I heard him scream. So I was almost halfway to the boat by then. And then we had our another friend that we had met, Amber, who was closer to the boat. So she actually got there before me. And then the moment I was probably like 10 feet away from the boat, I felt this big push behind me, and that was my partner. It finally cut out to me and was like, "I will help you get into the boat," kind of. So I I had after I had that little vision, I it kind of told me like disconnect your brain from your body. Don't be in your pain body right now. It doesn't exist. Like you just have to fight right now. So I kind of was numb. I didn't really know how to move at that point, but I could feel my upper body. So it was the last moment I knew that I needed to put a little bit of exertion on my leg. So I took myself off the board into the water so I could pull myself up in the boat, and I felt someone lift me. I don't know who was touching me at this point, but I felt someone kinda lurch me up, and then Amber was on the boat and kinda helped pulled me up. And then at that moment, I finally, like, felt like, "Okay, I'm out of the ocean right now. I know that I'm in a little bit more safety than I was before." And then I listened to that little voice. It was just, "Turn your brain off, go inward, and focus on your breath, and everybody else will take care of you." So I just put my hand on my face because I didn't want my eyes to, like, trick me anymore with the colors or passing out. It was too much. It was overwhelming, the amount of sensories. So I put my hand on my face and I just laid there, and I felt people come onto the boat. There was probably like 8 people coming onto the boat. Everybody was nervous. Everybody was freaking out. What do we do? What do we do? And luckily, Amber's husband was like a super, super Boy Scout and knew how to handle trauma. And so I think just out of respect that they were like, "Hey, Tony, can you put the tourniquet on her?" So we took a surfboard leash and a rash guard, and he put it around my leg. But I think he was very nervous, didn't know what to do exactly in that situation, so they put it on wrong. Actually, they put it on like on top of the cut, and then that was the first time that I remembered pain. So it was like I was in this really tranquil, peaceful place, like, "Yes, everybody's gonna help me," and then all of a sudden, it was like electricity back in my body. Oh my god, I'm here, this is reality, this is raw, this is happening, and my body was, like, trembling and shaking, and then I was just like, "Okay, breathe, let that wave of emotion pass, come back, let go," and then I felt something really, really tight on the top of my knee, and then it just, like, all the sensation stopped. So then at that moment, I knew that it was applied properly because I couldn't feel a thing after that. I felt, really, really tight squeezing, but it was crazy that pressure that he put on my body was, like, calmed me, and I guess that's what you're supposed to do when you apply a tourniquet. It's just, like, take control because my body was, like, seizing and shaking, so I could have, like, hurt myself just if it was applied wrong again. So once it was applied, I I heard the boat captain, he went full force. There's, like, boards flying everywhere, people are jumping around everywhere, holding me down. My body is, like, he's going so, so fast to get to the island, and at that moment, I knew where we were going. It was this little clinic on Himafushi that also that same kind of ominous deja vu. Every time I passed it, I would walk to get coffee, and I would look at it like, "Ugh, creepy." Like, it was just like a dark, ominous vibe, and I knew and this was, like, days
You're like,
before.
"Damn it, I'm going to that spot."
I knew exactly where I was going. So yeah, we eventually made it back to the dock, which was so slippery, so unstable, just everything that could go wrong at all. And I'm like, okay, how am I even gonna get off this boat right now? I have no clue. And I opened my eyes at one point just to kind of like see if I still had vision, and I saw the guy who hit me, and it, like, brought me to this dark space, and I just had to go back, and I started kind of trembling again, and then and he was, like, praying, he was, like, begging, like, "I'm so sorry, I'm so sorry, I'm so sorry," and I even felt bad for him at that moment, actually, because I was like, "Wow, the reverse situation, if that was me that hit someone, I would actually feel 100 times worse than how I feel right now," which is crazy to think about that. So I guess they brought a backboard down to the boat, and I just felt kind of I was remembering surrender, surrender, surrender. So I felt them lift me onto the backboard, and the boat was rocking, everything was so unstable, and I'm like, I could freak out at this moment. I could freak out and just completely lose it. But then I was like, no, trust, trust, trust. They got you. They got you. So instead, I just engaged my core and was like, I'm stable, I'm stable. And the moment I felt us like touch the land, that was the next stage of I'm even safer than I was before. So then I opened my eyes and I saw, like, I was embarrassed because I saw just this little chaos that I was causing on this peaceful little island. I saw the locals that were kind of linking up with me before that we'd made a connection with, and I went inward. I was like, oh god, I'm causing all this chaos. I can't, like, why am I thinking that at that moment? It's just there was so many waves of emotions that were passing through me. And then I got into the ambulance, and I'd never been in an ambulance before, and I was having, like, more anxiety attacks, like, "Why am I in I'm in an ambulance in the middle of nowhere?" Like, I kept just thinking about my parents. I'm like, "I can't even imagine if they knew what was happening to me right now." It's like 3 a.m. while they're where they're at. I don't remember much of that travel, but I remember, like, my partner leaving to go get my passport and get, money so we could go to the hospital and do the surgery, but I remember him leaving and me feeling so like, I'm alone, I'm alone, I'm alone. Why would he leave me?" Just like kind of triggered. But then there was the most important thing, which also happened on the boat, was someone was always holding my hand. And I could feel just like the pulse of someone else's heartbeat reminding me that I wasn't gonna fade away, like, that I wasn't going to pass out, I wasn't gonna lose consciousness. So it was really beautiful how every single one of them knew, like, "Don't let go of Lena's hand." And they were passing off my hand, and I'm feeling different energies. So once I got into the clinic, um, I remember hearing just, like, my vitals, "Dut, dut, dut, dut." I could hear my own heartbeat, and I opened my eyes a little bit, and then that was the first time I spoke. I was like, this was probably been an hour since the accident now, and I just said, "Am I gonna be okay?" And the nurse, she was so beautiful. She had this, like, red sarong on her head and a golden nose ring, and the sunlight was shining in, and she was like, "Of course you're gonna be okay. You're in a safe place." And that just it warmed me, and I went back into this little beautiful space that I was in for a while, but then they ended up taking off the tourniquet, and then that's when I felt everything again. And they ended up cleaning it a little bit, and yeah, I kinda blacked out at that moment a little bit because it was just so much sensation, and then I heard the nurse and then the owner of the hotel kind of, like, not arguing, but very stressfully speaking of, like, "When's the ferry coming? When, like, we need to get it's not soon enough, like, what hospital is she gonna go to?" So, even though it was stressful and it was uncertain, I knew that they were taking the best care of me that anybody possibly could, and I was gonna be okay. Um, so eventually I left that clinic, back into the ambulance. Yeah, they eventually loaded me onto the ferry. It's a public ferry, leaves every hour. I'm in my bikini, soaking wet, I'm in my rash guard, and as you know, the culture in the Maldives, like, you're supposed to be covered up. So it was really, like, uncomfortable for a lot of people. Um, so yeah, I don't know why I couldn't take my rash guard off. I was just freezing. I couldn't think of anything. Yeah, and then also, like, where am I going? How's the surgery going? Because the accident itself wasn't even the traumatic part. It was
Yeah.
just the journey to repair my leg was actually what was the most traumatic. Um, so yeah, so we went to the boat, ferry, loads of people. I remember there was this man, very loud man, that was, like, sitting at my feet, and luckily I had Joaquin and Tony there with me. Joaquin came. It was really sweet. He didn't even know us and just wanted to come help me. So they were, like, both kind of holding me as I'm, like, shaking, and my waves of emotions were just kind of more fear before that. But then it started to change because yeah, I don't know, I was just in a different setting and my consciousness was coming back a little bit. I was able to speak again. And the guy at my feet was, like, yelling at them, "This is what you need to do, this is what you need to do, this," and just, like, I gave me so much anxiety, and I know he was just trying to help, and at that time, I opened my eyes, and I, like, just to look at who it was, and then I saw all the blood on my leg, and so then once I saw that blood, I kind of, like, got really, really dizzy and just laid back down and started to
And is
cry.
isn't it is it all, like, wrapped up? But you're just
Yeah,
bleeding
but it's
through the
bleeding a lot. So one later I found out it was just like an inch below the artery. So it wasn't fatal of like spewing blood everywhere, but there was a lot of blood being lost. So yeah, it was like I just saw like the crimson color all over my leg, the blood all over the ferry seat. And
yeah, you're, like, having the realization of, like, "I'm really hurt right now."
so then once I kind of dropped into that space of like not more fear, but more of I'm safe, I'm protected, I just had this huge clarity of like, how can I share this story to change the global etiquette of surfing? How can I share my story to bring more compassion into the lineup and not this greedy, egotistical, every wave is mine, I'm the best surfer in the lineup, I deserve all the best waves.
But do you think that that was what was happening in your situation?
I think a lot of it was due to overcrowded aggression and also just people not being at the right wave for their level. Which is also it's just there's a lot of things I think that have become in the evolution of surfing where it's just so easily accessible for people, and some people don't realize how dangerous certain things could be. So I think that, like, my biggest thing that I thought was bad about the situation was that this person should have pulled off the wave when they saw how much chaos was going on. You know how easy it is just to kick off the back of the wave, but this person decided to cut back directly into me just to not lose a section as he burned someone. And I don't wanna point blame on anybody because there's accidents that happen, but I do know that there's a lot of ways to prevent these accidents from happening, and I see it all the time in the town I live in, so I'm surfing all over the world, just really, really close calls that people think are just casual. I'm like, "No, that's life or death right there, just for you to make that section." And I know just from surfing, like surfing with the amigas, surfing with my personal girlfriends I have here, it's like we don't do that in the water. We're friendly, we share waves, we call people into waves. Like I feel more stoked watching my friends catch a wave than if I want to like get all the greediness of the wave myself. So yeah, it was more of like how can we share to make this global etiquette a little bit more out of compassion than more out of like selfish surfing. And just having the proper education, having the proper wisdom to be in a certain level. And I'm not saying like people shouldn't belong at a certain break. It's more of like find the break that's the best for your level there.
Like, I just wanna say, like, that's gnarly. That's super gnarly what you experienced, and I'm totally get why you would be wanting to cry and deserving to cry and get those real emotions out, and also, like, you're so lucky that it could have been worse, you know? Like you said, it could have hit your kidneys or actually hit an artery, so, like, it is really like, you're lucky, and
Yeah.
it sounded like you know, you had some, like, really great inner strength and were able to have the spiritual component and all of that to get you through it. But like thinking about what could have done differently, like it is so hard, especially when you're talking about the Maldives, because like I know, like Surf with Amigas, we did 2 years of retreats in the Maldives. And like I know, like at normal at our other locations all around the world, we break people up into groups by ability level and like take them to different spots. But I know that
Mhm.
logistically it's hard in the Maldives because you've just got the one boat and you've got
Yeah.
the one, you know, what are they called? The Donny, like the little boat, you know?
Boats.
And they take everybody from that boat to the same spot. And so you might have like vastly different ability levels. And it's at that point, it's not actually the people's fault
No.
because they don't
It's
actually know any better. And in
people
fact,
know.
in some of like the Amiga retreats, like they would have preferred to go to a different spot, but like just the way that the logistics are, like you just can't do it.
Yeah, and that's what like a lot of the knowledge that I want to share and that what I've like actively been taking action on here is like, okay, these people that are in charge of those groups, like take accountability or just don't like it's not about catching every single wave. It's about teaching people the proper safety, teaching them, the proper what's your intention about surfing. So yeah, it's like taking accountability for the people that you're in charge of in the ocean and also what's your influence. And that's not even if you are a surf instructor. but also just being a surfer, a top surfer out there, how are you influencing others? And how can you be a greater influence when you're in the water instead of just being selfish?
I agree with you 100%. Like anybody that's listened to my take on etiquette knows that like you're preaching to the choir here. But I do also recognize that it is hard when people like it, again, like using Maldives as a specific
Yeah.
example, or even Nicaragua.
Mhm.
It's like people who this is their 1 week vacation that they have waited
Mhm.
8 months or a year or more
Mhm.
and they've saved up for. And
Mhm.
maybe the waves haven't been good for the first 4 days. And now finally there's
Mhm.
good waves, like, it's a really hard argument to make,
Yeah.
especially for you and I, the types
Mhm.
that we live in. I mean, maybe not
Mhm.
where I live right this moment, but we surf good waves
Yeah.
relatively a lot.
Yeah.
We're not in landlocked
No.
wherever, or New York City or San Francisco or somewhere where the waves aren't that good that often. And we haven't spent, thousands and thousands of dollars and taken time away from work and family to go this one dream trip on the dream day. Like it's really hard to convince people who are out there that they should like chill out and not catch so
Yeah.
many waves or kick out of a wave that they've waited 2 hours for because there's like five people
Someone in
paddling on the like it is a really hard argument to make.
So, I mean, after, like, a lot of just, I don't know, I guess, contemplation on it, I mean, one of the solutions I think that I try is, like, the people who are in charge of those people, I try to have them be, like, the people that are have the local respect in the lineup, but it also comes with, like, taking the time to look at this well, look at the report. Oh, maybe there is another spot that this is gonna be great where it's gonna be empty, where there's not gonna be as many people, or a place where there's not gonna be loads of beginners in front of you that you have to navigate if you don't have the control to navigate in front of. So, yeah, it's just about, like, trying to, I think, take the time, put in the work to plan and have that balance of safety and stoke.
I I hear you, and as one of those people myself that is in that position and also has those values that, we agree 100%. Yes, of course. It's not good for anyone to take clients out into crowded waves. The clients are frustrated, the local
Mhm.
community, whether they be expats or actual people who are born in the place that you are, like they're not happy. It's not good for anyone. But
Mm.
sometimes it just is what it is based on the tide or the swell or the wind or the situation that day. Or somebody comes to you and they say, hey, my dream is to surf Sultans. I came on this trip to surf Sultans. They're capable of surfing Sultans, but Sultans is firing and everybody is out. It's like,
Well, maybe let's not go there.
how? Here, this
I
person has paid
know.
you $5,000 for a week, and that's what they say. I came because I want to surf Sultans and the waves are
Yeah,
firing, like
yeah,
it's a really tough, and who am I to say you can't surf Sultans? Like you're not good enough or whatever, like we do sometimes, believe me, we
yeah,
will sometimes tell people, sorry, we're not going to go there. Like it's not a good
yeah,
idea.
yeah. It's a controversial topic. It really is. Especially with just like the way that tourism is kind of growing in a lot of these areas where a lot of, yeah, they're just not used to it.
Well, and there's that argument, like, again, I feel like I'm on the opposite side of this argument than I normally am. I'm normally arguing your side, so I'm just gonna, like, sit in the
Let's
other
go.
chair to, like,
Yeah.
have the discussion. Because I I
Mhm.
I wanna say again, like, I get it. I agree with you. I'm definitely, like, on your side, but I also know that there are problems because these people are adults, and the ocean is for everyone.
Ocean is for
Right?
everyone.
So, like, it's one thing, I think, if people are, like, beginners, like,
Yeah.
if you don't know how to turtle roll, then you shouldn't be surfing at Sultans, like, for
Mhm.
example. Like, that's easy. It's easy to do that. Hey, for your safety and the safety of everyone else in the water, like, I'm sorry, I can't let you go out there. Like, that's easy.
Mhm.
But the question is when it's like, this person that you're talking about that ran you over and both of you are competent surfers. Like, neither one
Mhm.
of you don't have the skills to be out there.
Mhm.
And probably the guy that the whatever his name is dropped in on, that person was probably a competent surfer. And I
Mhm.
bet that at least one of the other people around you paddling out, all of y'all probably would have been totally fine skill wise surfing that break. And yet the accident happened. And that's where I feel like it gets tricky. Like who gets to decide who's
Mhm.
allowed to surf there and who's not.
Mhm. So
Like,
I
is it
think
just
the
yeah, go ahead.
overall is just, like, more awareness and more compassion through all aspects. The coaches, the instructors, the surfers, the local everybody. Just awareness, compassion. I think
Yeah.
that's what's gonna be the best, but as we're saying with the froth meter, that's hard to think about that. And even like our I know you're a frother, I'm a frother. Like, of course we forget about that sometimes. It just, when you're on a wave, you feel the electricity and you're just like, I'm going, I see my line, I don't care who I scare in the way. Sometimes that happens. It's a human thing that we have. But
And like you said in your situation, like, it also happens so fast.
2 seconds.
Where, like, I surf crowded waves, and, like, I am one of the ones, like you're talking about, I'm not kicking out. I mean, eventually, yeah, if I actually think I'm gonna hit them, I will kick out.
Yeah.
But, like,
Yeah.
lots and lots of time, I see them and they're panicked, I'm gonna hit them, and I'm like, "Dude, chill. I'm not gonna hit you. I'm in control. I'm gonna go right around," you know?
It's the panicking. So I that's another part of, like, kind of what I wanted to share too is, like, my journey back into the ocean, because it didn't stop after this. It was like what you said, the panicking is what only makes it worse. Kinda like when you're driving a car and you're like, "Do I merge? Do I merge? And if you hesitate, it makes it so much more dangerous when you hesitate instead of having that kind of confidence with it. So, I don't know if you want me to share the rest of kind of the hospital
Sure.
journey. It's
What did you end up doing?
all of a sudden, I just find myself in literally the back of a pickup truck with Tony and Joaquin there, and then I was, like, laughing at this point. I'm laughing 'cause I'm like, "I'm in the back of a pickup truck in the Maldives, my leg's wide open, I have no clue if it's broken," and then that's when reality hit a little bit, and Tony looked at me and he goes, "We're in the hospital to get your surgery." And then that's when I, like, went so inward because I'm like, "Wait, I have to go get a surgery now after all I've just been through? I'm so weak. I have nothing left in me. I have to go, like, get stabbed and prodded and, like, see if I'm gonna be okay now?" So, yeah, without getting into too much detail of it, it was very intense. It was very, very gnarly, just the whole process of it, just getting transferred from room to room, not being in a different culture, not understanding the language, not understanding what was going on half the time. Like, I felt like a test subject almost, like getting poked and prodded. I was getting edgy and frustrated at that point. Um, so yeah, eventually I think I ended up um like they ended up giving me this pain medication. After all of that, I was like, wow, I can relax now a little bit, and the guy was so sweet, he's like, "Just relax, this will make your nerves go away." So then they transported me to another room, and that's when I kind of freaked out because they're like, "Okay, the surgeon will be ready in 6 hours." And I'm like, "What am I supposed to do? Lay here for 6 hours and wait? Can't drink anything, can't eat anything, can't do anything." I'm like freezing cold still in my wet bikini and just with like a towel over me, and I had no phone service, I had nothing. I couldn't have anything to distract my brain at that moment except for, like, the little drip of the IV, and, I think I actually was alone at that point because everybody who was helping me had went to get lunch because they need to eat, they need to take care of themselves too. And then I tried to listen to this podcast of like, when you're ready to heal, that was the time. So I started listening to it to just try to like take my brain off. And it brought me into this dark spiral. And then I started hyperventilating. I started crying. Like I was having an anxiety attack, my first anxiety attack I've ever had. And because I was alone completely. And I guess it was only 10 minutes, according to my partner at the time, but it felt like ages. It felt like hours. And then once he finally came back, then that's when he finally let me cry, and I cried a lot. But it was like a release cry. It was me thinking about, okay, I'm not gonna be able to surf, I'm not gonna be able to ride horses, I'm not gonna be able to free I'm not gonna be able to be myself for even longer now. And it came back to that omen of like I wasn't actually living for myself prior either. Um, so I can't do yoga, I can't do anything for, like, months. I'm just thinking about my healing process, so it's like I'm not even present, I'm just thinking about the future, I'm thinking about I'm begging the nurse, like, "Please give me gas, like, put me out, I'm tired of fighting for my consciousness, like, I just wanna be out right now," and then eventually time passed, and it was time for the surgery, and they, like, tricked me from separating from my partner, 'cause I kinda knew that I was anxious and, like, they just brought me into this room and then I never saw him until before the surgery, so I was like, "Wow," like, I'm completely alone right now on this journey, I'm 100% alone, and yeah, so by the time I finally got into the surgical room, like, no one has shoes on, they're all barefoot, it's, like, crazy. I'm like, "I'm about to get surgery," no one even has shoes on because they all, have their religion, um so I kinda laughed at that point. I'm like, "Wow, this is me right now, like, I'm just gonna surrender, this is almost funny," and yeah, I guess it's like once the moment that you actually have to act is the moment that you become the bravest, so once he asked me to stand up to put the needle in my spine, I'm just like, "Alright, this is it, this is the end. If I never feel my leg again, whatever, here we go, I'm in full surrender, and at least I'm here in a safe place," and, yeah, he gave me the epidural, it was horrible. I don't know if you've had one before, it's not that fun.
I have.
And, but then after it went through, I had, like, a little bit of sedative that he gave me, so I kind of was, like, in and out of consciousness, and before I knew it, it was done. I see the anesthesiologist's face, like, so, like, "Oh, it's beautiful!" Like, and I'm like, "How many stitches are there?" And he's like, "I don't know, more than 100." And I'm just like, "What? Like, why are y'all laughing about this right now? Like, this is crazy." So yeah, and then, eventually I finished, and I remember being in the waiting room, like, I couldn't feel anything. I couldn't even move my face. I couldn't move anything. My entire body was numb. I felt like the toxic antibiotic. I felt everything just pumping through my veins because 'cause I'm usually, like, a natural person. I don't even take Advil when I have a headache, so I'm just like, "Wow, there's poison pumping through me right now, but it's poison that's saving me right now, and I know I need this poison." So yeah, it was pretty intense, like, my back hurt so bad because I was laying there for almost 8 hours, and I couldn't move, I couldn't roll to the side, they were, like, yelling at me, like, "Stop trying to move, Layna." They're like, "You can't move your head or else you're gonna have a headache from this," so, yeah, I eventually, short story long, stayed in the hospital for 3 more nights, and, but what really kept me through was that after I got out of the surgery, I saw that my partner had made a post about it, and I looked at my messages, and there was, like, the most messages I've ever received on my phone. There was so much love, like, pouring into me just from, like, a little tiny notice of, like, "Hey, send Lena some love," and I got some of the most beautiful messages I've ever received in my life, and it was just such a pure it gave me hope for the surf community, like so, yeah, we ended up having a GoFundMe on there, raised enough money to get me into a first class ticket so I could fly all the way home. But there was, the first night I stayed in the hospital, I had one of the most insane anxiety attacks I've ever had. It it just, like, I don't know, I woke up in the middle of the night not remembering how to breathe, and I think it was my nervous system just, like, after going through so much of that adrenaline, my nervous system coming back, and it was triggered by someone screaming next to me in the hospital because there's thin walls, there's not a lot of privacy, and it was like someone screaming in the middle of the night, and then it just woke me up. I couldn't breathe, I couldn't focus, I couldn't do anything, and unfortunately, those anxiety attacks continued for at least a month after the whole process, and then just fast forwarding, I went back to my parents' house, and they helped me heal, they were so sweet, and they have a really slow pace, they're very, retired and just loving, so it was the best place I could have ever landed, you know, just physically, but then also, like, me emotionally healing from just my kind of next chapter in life, like, me purging out what wasn't serving me, and then back to a place, back to my roots and the house I grew up in, just remembering myself, essentially, relearning how to walk in the same grass I learned how to walk when I was a baby. It was a very beautiful experience. Um, and then eventually, we had a group planned in Nicaragua, actually, and that was my goal. I was like, I'm going to walk so I can make it to this retreat in Nicaragua. And I actually ended up learning how to rewalk in like 3 weeks, I think. It was so fast. Nobody could believe it. The physical therapist, nobody could believe it. And luckily, like, thank you so much for everybody who supported me. I was able to, like, get through my medical bills, get through everything from the GoFundMe and just the love from the surf community. My first time back into the ocean was so emotional. And I was on the same board I was on. I, like, remember just putting my feet on the board and just, like, feeling the anxiety, but also feeling like you're back home. You're back home. I'll never forget that journey back into the ocean. Um, and then fast forwarding, I stayed in Nicaragua a little bit longer just so I could heal. And I got my first wave again. I started walking on the beach. I started running. That's when I met my current business partner here, Derek, where he offered train in the sauna, do your physical therapy in the sauna with me. Like, let's get back, let's get back. So it was like I found like my home. Essentially, I found my crew of like support when I felt all alone a little bit. And yeah, I remember being with my friend, a super powerful, badass surfer who I caught my first wave. It was at Colorado. So it was just this perfect size. Sun was out. The water was blue. All my girlfriends around cheering me on. And yeah, I just remember that electric feeling of just riding that wave of like remembering like, okay, because I didn't know after that. I remember telling my dad right after the accident happened, I'm never going to surf again. I don't want any more accidents like this. So it just, this big fear overcame. And I think that's actually when I wrote you, because I was searching, how do I overcome this trauma and get back into the water? And I saw one of your blogs and I wrote you and you just said, hey, just write me an email. And then I ended up writing this whole entire story that I sent to you a year later. And here we all full circle. So even just like that little, yeah, just write me an email. It made me write this amazing healing story that now
And
I'm working to
did you
finish.
find it helpful to, like, get it out of you and onto the page?
It was really hard, but and it took me a long time to write it. It's basically me reliving everything and putting it into detail. And yeah, I'll share it once it's published. It's good. It goes into really, really deep detail of just like the raw emotions that I was feeling and just the deepest amount of pain. But I remember someone writing me like, only in the deepest moments of fear is when you can progress to your highest level. So it's like we need to have those moments in order to catapult to the next level of what you're doing, and whether that's, through surfing or energetically holding the space of whatever your goal is here.
Well,
So
yeah, and you mentioned that through going through this experience, it made you realize that you weren't living for yourself. So what changes did you make, or how have you changed since then?
ooh, that's a good question. So I have a lot more, I guess, patience, awareness, and gratitude every time I'm in the ocean. So just me being able to have the ability to touch the ocean every day was just as beautiful as riding a big, massive barrel that I was trying to get. So, me going back into the ocean with this more heightened awareness of gratitude for each moment. I don't have to catch all the waves that come to me. I don't have to froth out all day, every day, thinking I need to be in the ocean, surfing the waves. There was so many times. So I came back to here and was surfing Pongas in the off season because there's nobody out. I didn't want to be around a crowd at all. So it like reminded me my connection to the ocean, which in an extension is my connection to myself. So I was able to be with myself alone. So I ended up, splitting with my partner because our lifestyles just weren't working together. I ended up putting more energy and work into myself, rather into my strength, my surfing, but also what am I doing with my life? And it brought me to the best possible place that I could ever be in my life. I feel like the strongest, highest version of myself. So basically, that accident purged out what I wasn't listening to myself, and I knew I wasn't listening to myself. So it like purged that away in a really, really dark way. And brought me this light, where I was able to rebuild my foundation, where now I am here in Nicaragua hosting this space for surfers with a deeper consciousness, people who want to come heal. I've also started a thing with one of my best friends here called the Mariposa Wave Club, where we're teaching little girls how to be confident in the water, but not only how to be confident, but also how to be compassionate, how to connect, how to find a deeper meaning from it and not be like intimidated from all these guy rippers out here, because the younger boys are rippers and the little girls are kind of intimidated. So yeah, it brought me to just know that I do have the power to make a change in the water, and I can't do it alone. It's with the tribe that you have, and it's not about girls and guys. It's about everybody coming together as one. Um, so Yeah,
Awesome.
it brought me to a lot of realizations where now I can truly live for myself and truly enjoy every moment at the as the ocean is a healing solace for us all. That's what, you preach, and that's what these, yeah, I guess podcasts are about. It's just how can we find their deepest meaning through all of our experiences through surfing
Epic.
or
Well,
skiing.
thank you so much for all that you're doing in southern Nicaragua and for sharing your story with us. And I know it was hard to live through, so I appreciate you going there. I think it's a lot of people's like worst fear to experience that. So it's really inspiring to hear about how you were able to get through it and turn it into a positive. So I appreciate you. I appreciate you and thank you for sharing with us.
Of course. Thank you for having the space and, having the outlet to share because that's the hardest part is getting it out there. We can write it, we can talk about it, but like how do we reach this to the people who actually are going to take it in and use it for good? So thank you for all you do with the female empowerment and just surfing empowerment in the world. You're an inspiration for me.
Awesome. Thank you.